plastic prophet, the pit. They say there's a castle in Bohemia that wasn't built to keep people out. It was built to hold something in. Houska Castle sits on a limestone crag about an hour north of Prague. Early Gothic bones, 13th century stonework, a chapel where the altar should bless the land. Except that chapel sits directly over a hole the locals called a gateway to hell. That's not my phrase. That's their legend. They said the pit was so deep you couldn't see the bottom, and when they tried to fill it, the stones vanished into the dark. The story gets rough. When construction began, condemned prisoners were promised a pardon if they'd be lowered by rope into the shaft and report what they saw. The first man didn't last long, screamed to be hauled up, hair gone white, face cracked with 30 years of fear in a handful of seconds. That's the legend on the ground. Look at how the place is arranged. Remote woods and marsh, no natural spring, only a rain cistern, far from trade roads, and pieces of the fortification make more sense facing inward than toward any outside enemy. If you listen to the folklore keepers and local tourism records, Houska's chapel murals don't calm you down either. Hybrid creatures, demonish forms, even a rare left-handed centaur, left-handedness marked evil in medieval symbolism, painted inside a chapel planted on top of the pit. That's not normal church art. The people around Houska told of things coming out, winged shadows, animal-human mashups, a bullfrog man, a headless horse, older women seen wandering stone corridors after dark. Whether you call it folklore or a field report depends on what you've tasted in this life, but the list is the list. Even the 20th century couldn't leave it alone. During the war, the castle was seized. SS units occupied it until 1945. What they actually did there is hazy in the records, and the occult experiment claims are mostly rumor. But the overlap between Nazi fascination with esoteric power and a site with that reputation kept the stories alive. Skeletal remains reported after the war, a family reclaiming the property, and the castle opens to the public in 1999. Fact, rumor, and revenants walking arm in arm. So what is a hole like that spiritually? Scripture gives us categories. Genesis 6 says, "The sons of God took human women and produced the Nephilim, giants." Numbers 13 echoes the language, "When spies see the Anakim and tremble." Peter and Jude say, "Certain angels who sinned are kept in gloomy chains, Tartarus, until judgment." 2 Peter 2:4, Jude 6. In the Gospels, when Jesus confronts Legion, the demons beg him not to send them into the abyss, Luke 8:31. And Revelation 9 shows a shaft. A star opens the pit of the abyss, and smoke and stinging locust things pour out on the earth. Holes, prisons, shafts, and gates. Scripture's vocabulary for contained evil is consistent. Ancient Jewish readings connect those dots more tightly. Books like 1 Enoch and Jubilees argue that when the giant hybrids died, their disembodied spirits became what we call demons, earthbound, hungry, unclean, and that many were constrained in the deep places until the appointed time. You don't have to canonize Enoch to note the worldview. Dead giants leave restless spirits that seek hosts. Some are confined. That matches the demon's fear of the abyss in Luke. Now take that frame and look again at Houska, a place reputed to vomit out hybrids, a community responding not by building a shrine on a hilltop, but by capping a shaft, stone on stone, then a chapel dedicated, some say, to Saint Michael, heaven's warrior, over the throat of the earth. It sounds like a medieval boots-on-the-ground version of Jude 6. Seal it, set an altar above it, pray it shut. Even the inward defenses make symbolic sense if the perceived threat wasn't an army over the ridge, but something rising from beneath. Does that mean Houska is the pit? I'm not saying that. The records are a braid, hard stones and soft legends twisted together for 750 years. But if demons are the homeless spirits of the giant age, the Nephilim, then the old world's habit of pointing at shafts, caves, and bottomless holes as gates to the underworld looks less like superstition and more like memory. Places that feel like magnets to the disembodied. Places where men were lowered by rope and came back wrong. Places where the church planted a cross like a cork in a wine-dark bottle. So here's the parallel the modern world refuses to preach. The giants were in the earth then, Genesis 6:4, and their spirits still roam the earth now, seeking bodies, houses, institutions, anywhere there's vacancy. Jesus warns that an unclean spirit, finding no rest, says, I will return to my house, Matthew 12:43-45. Paul tells us we are now the temples. The fight moved from rocks and ropes to hearts and households. Maybe Houska is just stone and story, or maybe it's one of those old seals men forgot to guard. Either way, the prescription hasn't changed. Close the gates, fill the house with the Spirit of God. Resist the devil and he will flee, James 4:7. And if you ever stand over a hole the world calls bottomless, remember, there is one who holds the keys of death and Hades, and it isn't whatever howled beneath Bohemia.